this is a picture of the TI-83 Plus calculator. So we also have the TI-84 calculator, a couple of them. So if you have one of these calculators, they're very similar, but not exactly the same. Sometimes you have to push different keys to do different things. Sometimes things look a little bit different. So I also have another video with the TI-84 Plus calculator. You can look at that, doing some linear regression. So just to start out on this one, I'd like you guys to notice that there are some important keys that you're going to use a lot for this calculator. And first and foremost is you're going to turn it on, and then when you have to turn it off, you hit the second key and on to turn it off. And let's see, so you have for example the clear key to clear the screen. It's not going to work here because this is just a picture of the calculator, but in a minute I'm going to show you some things on the actual calculator. But when I say, everybody push clear, you won't know which button to push because it doesn't show you what I'm pushing. So the clear button is located here below the down arrow. The arrows are for moving over, down, and up very often. Another thing to do is if you get stuck in a certain menu and you want to get back to your home screen, second mode is the quit, to quit out of wherever you happen to be at the moment, okay? And there's the delete key. Use that with caution, because if you use that to, if you go to the top of a list and push that, you'll delete the whole list, not just the numbers in the list. Okay, this is where you appear these function keys. The y equals is where you go to the equation editor to look at all the equations that are put into the calculator so that they can be graphed. The window to set the minimum and maximum for the x direction and the y direction for your window. So this one might be, for example, if it was a standard window, STD I think it's called, window, it would be negative 10, 10, and negative 10, up 0 would be in the middle, up to 10. There would be a standard window that we use sometimes. So the zoom key for getting special kinds of windows, we're going to be using zoom and then the number 9, which will very often give us a statistics window that includes all of our data, so nothing's left out. And then we might have to actually make our own window to make it a little bit bigger so we can see what's happening beyond just the standard minimum and maximum x and minimum and maximum y. So any other things, there's a comma. We might use the comma sometimes. And you see the little orange colors. So if you hit the second key and 1, it'll give you L1. We might have to put list 1 there at some point. Let's see, what else have we got? So the stat key is very important. If we hit stat and then enter, this is the enter key. If we hit stat and then enter, that's going to be how we can actually put numbers in our lists. And then if we hit stat and move over, that's going to help us to go to calculate, and then we're going to get to calculate our linear regression prediction line. Trace is for actually tracing along the line, so you'll be able to see what your x and y, they'll show you right here and here. If you push that trace button, what the x's and y's are for the line, or for the dots, we'll just push up arrow or down arrow and it'll toggle between the tracing the dots and showing you the dots, or the points, or tracing the actual line. So, and vars, and we're going to be moving over to the y variables, and then we're going to use that key, and I'll show you what that's used for in just a minute too. So you have all those wonderful things. And here's the actual calculator, so I could actually quit out of there. I could clear that screen. One of the first things to do is to notice that the y equals should be clear. And you see that that plot's turned on up there. Well, that's okay. That plot can be turned on because we're actually going to use it. If you needed to turn it off, you could do so from right here by hitting the enter button down below. And you notice that it unhighlights it, unselects it. I'm going to keep it selected. Well, actually, I'm going to unselect it. I'm going to show you how to get it the real way. So hit the second key and the Y equals. So upper left, second key, Y equals. Whoops, second key, Y equals, and it says that the plot's turned off. If we hit enter 2 times, it'll turn the plot on, and we should go over to the right, down a little bit, and to the right to choose that first type of plot. So that's the dot plot or the scatter plot. Remember that we already used this for, if we go to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right, we used it for the box and whisker plot already before. We'll do a refresher of that. List 1, list 2 are good automatic ones to be chosen. You can choose what kind of mark you want to use. Stat, enter, and we can put our numbers in our lists. I've already added my numbers. You should make sure that you don't make a mistake. You should scan through the list when you're done with them and make sure that you put decimals where they should be. Make sure that you put a 9.5 if that's what it was in the book. And instead of 95, that would change things a whole lot and really mess you up. So it's your responsibility to make sure, absolutely sure, that your decimal places are in the right place and that you didn't type something by mistake. And I'll show you what it looks like. So these are the numbers that we put in the calculator right here. So this is the number of pages of a book and the price of the book. So list 1, list 2. Remember, list 1's always on the left, then list 2. It's always the one on the left is X and the one on the right is Y. That's just that way. The one on top is X, the one on the bottom is Y for what you're going to be doing. And just notice that you can guess that there could be a relationship between these two variables. So you might guess that the more pages the book has, the more expensive the book or the higher price, right? So you could guess that, and we're going to actually look at how true that might be, to what degree that's true, and with what level of confidence, I guess you could say, even though we haven't gotten there yet. So here you go. We entered these in list 1, we entered these in list 2, and we're going to actually come up with an equation or a regression or prediction equation and predict what's going on for a 500-page book, which is not here, but probably happens somewhere between 523 and 451, so we can guess that it's between these two prices, but we're going to find it more. Actually, your answer is going to be better than theirs because we're not going to cut off our decimals and round them. We're going to keep the 0.01 dot whatever. Okay, so, and also later on, a book is 950 pages, and we're going to find the price of that book as well. So we can do that back on the calculator. And I'll show you that we have stat, hit stat key again, go over to calc, go down to 4. That's the linear regression. We have linear regression. Now hit second list 1 or second 1, comma, second 2, comma, and go to vars, which is by the lower arrow key. Go over to the right to yvars. Hit enter a couple of times, and it'll paste y1 into your expression there. And so this is going to put the regression line for the plot L1, L2 for that data into the y1 of the calculator, and it's going to prepare, and there you have it, a slope-intercept form. The slope is 0.0095 something. The intercept, y-intercept, is 4.48 something. This is the regression equation, and holy crap, if we hit the y equals, it put it in there for us. And if we did a zoom 9, which is a stats zoom, you can see that it actually will put a line through our dot plot. Yeah, and you can hit the trace key up top, and you can actually see that it's tracing the dots, and you can hit an up arrow or a down arrow, and you can see that it's tracing the line. So look at the bottom, you see X is 425, Y is 8.5, and you can kind of trace along. You could even type in a bigger X, like say X equals 450, enter, and it tells you exactly what the Y should be in the table, okay? But if you want to go too big, you're going to have problems. So if you said X equals 950, something's wrong. You could say go to, you could go down and see what's the problem, but it's kind of telling you that the problem is the 950. Now, if you remember what I said about the window of the calculator, if you hit window, you can see that the X max is much less than 950. So it couldn't possibly graph the 950 on there. So how about if I went to 960 and the max Y, make it bigger, maybe instead of 11, it's up, because it seemed to be an increasing, we guessed that it was a line going up, and then we could see it was a line going up. So how about instead of 11, how about 45 or something like that? Now if I was on the zoom 9, no, don't do zoom 9 again, sorry. If I was on the window, if I was on the graph, hit graph, and you can see that it sort of zoomed way out. So now if you did a trace and you were sure to be up arrow tracing along your line, you could actually bring that line to 950 by typing it, and you see that 13.5 is the correct Y answer for the table. Or for a 950 page book, you're paying $13.53. So you could actually do a table, so up to the top, second, and window, that's table set, and you could actually put on 949, and then you could do second table, which is the graph button, second graph, and it'll give you a table with all your numbers in there too. Isn't that cool?